Welcome everyone to another episode of the Breakdown Bros. Today we are back. You might notice we have some props behind us. And so in the theory of March Madness, and while it's still, up in the buzz of things, we thought we'd put together a 32 team bracket shown here. So you kind of get to see what would it kind of look like just for 32 teams.
What would have happened?
And so,
Really?
yeah, so that's kind of what we're working on today. Lots going on in college football. Super soon we'll have all the spring intel we're going to bring to you guys.
Dude, there's been some good
been
stuff
some,
coming
but
through.
today we're focusing on this. But
March Madness.
a lot of people report during the spring, like what's going on in spring, but some people don't start till others end. And it's like, you know what? We're just going to give you the kind of the scoop at the end of March. It's not really going to change from March to July anyway. So we'll give you the scoop then. For now, we're going to talk about what would it look like for a March Madness bracket, 32 teams. So for our setup here, we're saying this tournament would start the Saturday after the championship games, meaning it would start around December 13th for the first round. According to last year, this is based off last year's teams. These rankings were generally decided based on the rankings of teams going into the college football playoffs. And then we'll just see how it played out.
This is starting like right after rivalry weekend, or right after Big Ten
right
championships.
Right after championships. These are the teams. This is about where they would have been ranked. Obviously, we have insider information about how Miami would have performed pretty well. And
However,
but we have a little bit of our own flair to it. Do we have any markers?
I do.
you have a
I
marker?
brought a good one.
All right, great.
I came prepared
So
with my one piece of paper.
I would say, just looking at the bracket, it's not as crazy as I thought. When you think of March Madness, you think of absolute blowouts in the first round.
Sure.
And you know what's weird is I think we're so used to blowouts in the college football playoff because of the inclusion of G5 teams. It's not even that ridiculous to see games like Georgia SMU, Texas Tech TCU, even Indiana Illinois.
OSU Duke is.
Duke's the ACC champion, my friend.
I understand.
I know.
That one's a little bit more
It's
far-fetched.
I know, but it's still just crazy. But notice
I don't think they've ever played.
we've like JMU in here as a higher seed, and it's just really interesting to see how they're not really as bad of blowouts as I thought. Although some of those point spreads would still be, for example, Indiana Illinois would be Indiana minus 17.5. What else is there? OSU would be about a 25-point favorite against Duke. Georgia would be a 15.5-point favorite over SMU. And Texas Tech only a 10.5-point favorite over TCU.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like,
Now, this is based on some of our own numbers, but our own numbers are pretty good.
I
would
think
like
my
to
numbers
say.
are great, actually.
They've performed for me really well. We've made computer models for March Madness, and I've won money so far, and I'm about to win a lot if a certain team up north does well in the tournament, unfortunately.
Hey, I'm in the top 0.1%.
Yeah, I'm in the top 3%. Wah. Okay, whatever.
Sucker.
So, we continue. Let's start out. I'm just going to say it like this. Do you have any upsets in the first round?
Upsets-wise, that I'm looking at, I do not. Mainly because, and I'll tell you why, real quick, because I think this is important, and I think people will look at us and go, is it really March Madness without the upsets?
No. Well, we're showing how it would compare to football.
Correct.
In a sense here. So,
and in that
continue.
sense, I think what we've seen is when there's continuity in play, when teams are playing every week and they're not sitting, they have this rhythm, they have this flow. And I think towards the end of November, beginning of December, people are playing their best games.
I agree. And what also is different is everyone's going to have a week to prepare. You just cannot play a football game 2 days apart, 3 days apart.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
It's just not feasible. Travel-wise, physicality-wise, it just doesn't work. So you're not going to have maybe a team who upsets in the first round.
Sure.
And then they only have a day to scout.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
Maybe a 1 seed Virginia is looking ahead to their round of 32 game and they lose to a 16 seed UMBC.
Dun, 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 dun.
So something like that.
I agree. That doesn't work.
So yeah.
So I do not have any upsets at all, actually.
I would
running
also
through this first round.
I would also like to mention that in this first and second round, there were aspects of March Madness we took and aspects of college football playoff. We are basing this the home field off the college football playoffs. So the first and second round is at the home field of the better seed. So for example,
we all like that.
It's at Ohio State. When Duke plays Ohio State, it's at Ohio State. Because the college football was built on campuses and tailgating and all that kinds of fun stuff. It just makes sense. You just got to have those games.
There's no other way you can avoid it. And already, even in the atmosphere now, people are calling for second round to still be at campuses again.
Yes.
So it only makes sense that we do 2 rounds at least at the campuses.
Yeah.
Then you can kind of go, all right, big media companies, you guys can have your bowl games.
Yeah, I would agree. Even I would say I think the bowl games, I would, if I could, and if this were the format, or even in the regular college football playoff format, I wish all games were played at campus until the Final Four, when I think you would have to relinquish those games to like bowl games. But then you only have 3 bowl games. But I personally just think it would be better. I think that's the whole point that makes college football special. That's why it's different than the NFL.
I think it's better,
especially. So
I think it's better.
All right, let's hop into it. So I'd say while we're taking all the favorites here, I'd think the closest point spreads look like Texas A&M against Tennessee. But I think Texas A&M would have taken care of that game. Even with the knowledge we know. BYU over Arizona makes a lot of sense. Maybe it's a little scary.
The Vanderbilt JMU game.
Vanderbilt JMU could get sticky, but
it could be a little bit freaky.
I know, but
because Vanderbilt's defense was garbage.
I know, but did you see how JMU played? Who did they play? Who? Oregon, I think.
Oregon.
Yeah, well, you know how Oregon played against Indiana?
I understand.
That showed the levels of separation.
That was Indiana. I'm saying Vanderbilt's not even close to Oregon.
You would have a hard time convincing me that JMU would even keep that game close. I don't even think it would be close.
I think they would keep that game close.
Unfortunately, this is all hypothetical. But
hey, SEC undefeated.
Leave your no. I seriously think Vanderbilt would have easily won that game by at least 10 against JMU. If you disagree,
I think it would be like a late score touchdown.
Let me know in the comments. Yeah, okay. I think going into the fourth quarter, you're not going to be in a one-possession game.
No. I think you're wrong there, actually.
Really? Okay.
JMU's offense was very good.
Yeah, until they played a good defense. I know Vanderbilt's defense wasn't that great.
Is Vanderbilt's defense good?
It's better. It's better than all the other teams
Oregon
JMU was
more
playing.
Towards the elite.
Yeah, but Vanderbilt's still, like, if Oregon's A defense and Vanderbilt's a C defense, JMU's been playing D defenses or F defenses.
But it's the playoffs.
Yeah.
You don't think they would
also
even keep it close? 16 seed, Sienna's keeping up with Duke.
I hate to be that guy, but because that's not important. The point is Vanderbilt, their defense also looks bad because they're playing SEC games. I hate to be that guy.
Oh,
but
my gosh.
You know what? JMU's defense can look good when they're playing those teams. You know what? Vanderbilt's total defense.
JMU's defense was good.
Well, okay. You said their offense is good.
I said their offense is good.
Okay. Well, their offense can be good against those. I don't. What conference were they? I don't know.
No
American. I think American.
No clue.
So the point is, or Sunbelt. I don't remember. But the point is, Vanderbilt defense would look way better if they were in JMU's spot. I'm just saying.
So we know. Okay.
Now we continue.
So we got through that. So I wanted to. So I'm actually going to start marking some things down, and I'm going to ask you some questions as I start marking.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
Filling out the bracket's good.
Oh yeah, we totally fill out the bracket live for all of you.
So we got Indiana.
I mean, we all saw what Indiana did to Illinois last year.
We all saw that.
So,
USC Michigan was played in the season. I have
agree.
no idea if this mics are going to pick it up, but we're going to keep dunking. USC Michigan did play.
Yes.
Was it Michigan won?
Okay.
But do you think USC improved enough throughout that season, to put up a fight against Michigan again? Because I think it was close as it was. I'm pretty sure.
I think they were doing better. If you unlock your phone, I'll take a look right now. I'll check our stats and info because we have no stats and info people. So I think what's very important about the USC Michigan game is where that game was actually played. So here's the thing. It was USC Michigan. I think it was at Michigan.
So that's important. And in this one, USC is home.
It's a home team. I think whoever's... No, it was Michigan at USC.
Oh.
And USC won 31-13.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not even close then.
Yeah, I would say USC wins that. So you're back at
my
USC.
bad, USC. Oh,
Yeah,
that's on me.
I knew they had a good season. So I thought
That's
they were
so
doing
on
well.
me.
So we continue on.
That's what I get for putting in faith.
I know. That game, I have the stats here right now. We had a Jacoby Lane 2-yard pass from Jaden Mayava. Donovan McCulley pass from Bryce Underwood. Makai Lemon 12-yard pass from Jaden Mayava. Man, these old players. It was only a year away, but man, that we ended that game with
Jaden Mayava Iva's back.
Maiava had 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Underwood had 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. But
Iva's back.
yeah, I know.
That's good. That's good for them.
Yeah, USC's gonna be looking good.
I was so sorry. Side tangent because we can.
Yeah.
I was listening to Josh Pate's recent podcast, and they were looking through the Bill Connolly SB Plus, which I compared to the model that we've created, and it does not differ by much.
Okay.
It was more of the fact that about 4, maybe 5 Big Ten teams make it into the playoffs.
Yeah.
And based off the SP Plus, USC sits at 4.
Mm-hmm.
So it was almost like a safe to say that it looks like that USC people are penciling in as a lock for the playoffs, which is interesting.
Interesting. Wow.
And I don't know if that's true.
I would have to agree. So that is quite interesting. So for those of you who are listening on podcast, I'll kind of lay out this bracket for you. So in the Midwest, we have Indiana over Illinois, USC over Michigan, Notre Dame over Iowa, and then Oklahoma over Missouri. So that would be like Indiana's the 1, Oklahoma's the 2, Notre Dame's the 3, USC is the 4. So we're taking the 1 through 4 in all of these right now. In the East, we have number 1 OSU over number 8 Duke, number 4 Vanderbilt over number 5 JMU, number 3 Miami over number 6 Georgia Tech, number 2 Ole Miss against number 7 Navy. In the West, we have number 1 Texas Tech over number 8 TCU, number 4 Utah over number 5 Tulane, number 3 BYU over number 6 Arizona, number 2 Oregon against number 7 North Texas. And then in the South, we have number 1 Georgia over number 8 SMU, number 4 Texas over number 5 Virginia, number 3 Alabama over number 6 Houston, and number 2 Texas A&M over number 7 Tennessee. And the point you should get out of all that is, if you watch the YouTube, you can see it all with your eyes. So there you go.
Watch the YouTube. It's better.
The podcast is great. I think it sounds pretty great, but I would agree. You have to watch the YouTube. So here we are with all the 1 through 4 seeds. I think it gets a little bit more interesting now. I think we take 2 3 seeds and 2 2 seeds. So the closest games we would see here, by the way, this is December 20th, so imagine it's a Saturday before Christmas. You've played the weed-out games of the round of 32. Now you have a round of 16 of college football. In my opinion, I think this would be the most interesting.
I think this is ideal right here.
It's the last round that's on campi, plural of campus. Shout out Josh Pate.
Shout out Josh Pate.
It's the last round that is on campus. And they're all relatively competitive games. There's only 1 double-digit point spread, which is Oregon over BYU, which has a pretty high point spread there.
Yeah, that one's pretty big, and I think it stays that way too. I don't think BYU stands a chance against them.
So Josh has Oregon as a 20-point favorite over BYU. I guess there's also OSU as a 17-point favorite over Vanderbilt. But other than that, I'd say the games are pretty close. You have 8 competitive college football games that weekend, all playoff games the weekend before Christmas. That would be exciting stuff. But in here, we have decided, and based on what we know about what happened in the playoffs, we did end up taking Indiana over USC because Indiana was just a wrecking train. Spoiler, they might win the whole thing. We took Notre Dame over Oklahoma because we saw Notre Dame really play well in their bowl game. Or we didn't because they didn't play a bowl game.
No, we didn't because they were pansies.
But I think they were good. Legit towards the end of the year. I think they were just as good as Miami, and we know Miami went on to the end, so why not take them? So in our Midwest region, our Elite 8 are in number 1 Indiana, number 3 Notre Dame. In the East region, we had OSU Vanderbilt, and now the models and the numbers tend to say OSU would be a pretty hefty favorite over Vanderbilt. Easily over a touchdown. Josh has it over 2 touchdowns, OSU favorite, especially at home in the shoe. I think OSU wins that one pretty handily. And then we have Miami Ole Miss. Ole Miss without their coach. Miami, obviously, we know, went on to the national championship, really put their game together in the playoffs. So in the East region, our Elite 8 would be number 1 OSU and number 3 Miami, which we saw that game as well. We'll get there in a bit, though. In the South region, we have Georgia and Texas. We took Georgia here because Georgia owns Texas, and there's nothing else to be said about that. They're about a 7-point favorite, and Georgia's going to win that game every time, especially at Georgia. Texas has no chance. And then we have Texas A&M against Alabama. While Alabama did make it to the SEC championship and Texas A&M did not, I think Texas A&M did have a pretty good team put together. I'd say this was the closest one to pick in the Elite 8, but we decided to keep going with Texas A&M. Alabama's inability to run the ball last year would definitely bite them in the butt there. And it's at Texas A&M, which is a big boost in itself.
All right, we've gotten to a lot of games. Let's talk about some.
Oh, real quick, wrap up for the podcast crowd. Texas Tech, Utah. We have Texas Tech over Utah and
Yep.
in a kind of closer game because we would have to take Texas Tech over every Big 12 matchup. And then we would have Oregon over BYU, Oregon with a great lead. So that's our Elite Eight. Our Elite Eight would end up being number 1 Indiana, number 3 Notre Dame, then number 1 OSU, number 3 Miami, and then number 1 Georgia, and number 2 Texas A&M, and then number 1 Texas Tech, and number 2 Oregon. So with that in mind, this has already been a whirlwind. We've already played
We've already went through so many games.
24 games.
Yeah.
That would be incredibly exciting. However, not the first. I don't know. Would it be exciting? Would it be too much?
I think the average football fan would kind of get a little bit more overwhelmed, especially in the round of 32. I think, especially if those were all played, especially in the I would hope that we would kind of follow a March Madness style there, where you play Friday, Saturday.
Oh man, that would be cool, but it's just not
It's
feasible.
not feasible.
Yeah.
So I think in general, running that 16 games, which is done, which is done before, but everybody wants to watch, right? So you got to figure out a way to kind of break those up at some point.
I wonder if you had 16 games, would you put? You'd probably have to have 2 games going on at once.
I think you
in
have to.
8 time slots, and so that would be maybe 2 on Friday, 3 on Saturday, and then maybe 4 on Saturday. And then you'd have another
Saturday.
2 on Friday, 4 Saturday, and then maybe even sneak the other 4 games in Saturday too. I don't really know when you would do that with the NFL and all that going on.
Yeah.
Because you also don't want to give people unequal rest.
I agree. No, I
So
think
you can't like expand to Sunday or Monday or
Hey.
Thursday, I think.
games happen all the time. Games happen on Saturday. You're running 20-something games. There's 20-something games.
You know
on.
what? I think they would have to do...
Doesn't matter. Run it.
I think if I were them, I'd put 3 games in every time slot. Because if you have 16 games, you could get 15 done in 5 time slots. So 2 time slots Friday, and then 3 time slots Saturday would get rid of 15 out of the 16 games if you ran 3 games per slot. And then you just sneak 1 more game in maybe Saturday morning or Saturday late night. I'm not sure which.
To be fair, well, you could run an Oregon, a BYU Arizona late time, or Utah
Or
Tulane.
a West Coast. So let's look at the West region.
West region, Texas Tech, TCU, late night,
Yeah, you could do that.
10 o'clock.
I'd agree.
Playoff game.
Maybe Oregon or Texas at Oregon.
Yeah.
That would be good.
I mean that's not insane, but like obviously, and I'm gonna say this, that's a lot of games to be watching. 16 total,
It's true.
and even as it is, the most of the football fans that are caring already have 3 TVs set up, 4 TVs.
That's true. That's true.
So they're gonna watch the games.
Mhm.
People are gonna watch their teams. You're still gonna get viewership.
Of course.
This is nothing insane.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it's wild to make sure they all happen on Saturday, to make sure that people get equals rest. Keep following that March Madness of let's keep the ball rolling.
So you're saying almost have like 4 time slots Saturday and have 4 games
Just run
per
it all
slot.
Saturday.
Why not?
Here we go.
That would be pretty cool. Yeah.
Here we go.
That would be absolute madness.
There
And
you go. YouTube TVs
but-
putting in work.
Man, that would be a lot of fun. Actually,
It'd
that
be a
sounds like
blast.
the most fun way to do it.
I would watch them all.
Maybe it would be more fun than a Friday and Saturday. I'm not sure.
Then again, I'm not the average college football fan.
Does
So-
this mean we want a 32-team playoff?
No.
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 No, it does not.
No.
But this is in the spirit of March Madness. We continue.
We're trying to be feasible here.
So, none of the games. See, here are our matchups. Here we have Indiana. At this point, we're saying we're moving to a neutral site because media companies would have to do that, and bowl game sponsors would get livid.
They would be upset.
So now we're at neutral site. We have Indiana against Notre Dame. Everyone wanted this game to happen, and so that game would be quite the interesting matchup. It would be even cooler if it were in like Indianapolis, and then you'd have all the Indiana fans against each other. I think Indiana would come out on top, but I think if there were to be any magic pixie dust for Indiana
It's
to have
there.
lost, it would be to their
It's there.
rival in the same state, Notre Dame. So
It's there. And they were playing good too. They were playing really well down
I
the
think
stretch.
so, yeah.
I mean, they obviously played in like one of the more big games with Texas A&M and
Miami,
in the beginning of the year, which is something that I would say OSU didn't have when going into the Big Ten championship as well.
Yeah, we just
And
had
I-
Texas very, very early, but
Exactly,
other than that,
but
not a ton.
We were keeping Julian Sane on the reins. It wasn't anything crazy there. So I think Notre Dame was a little bit more built for the moment, closer to it.
That's true. Although, also those games were their first 2 of the season.
I understand.
So at the same time, you have to wonder.
Could be leaving a lasting imprint, though.
Yeah, but-
since it's the first 2.
Yeah, they did pick it up near the end. They did. No, they didn't play USC. Never mind.
No, Indiana still wins and covers.
I think Indiana still wins. Covering, you have it just Indiana by
it
a
was
pick 'em.
a toss up. It was
Yep.
a toss up.
Have them at a pick 'em here.
I do.
You know what? I don't think it's ridiculous to say that. Then we move on. OSU Miami. We saw this game play out in the playoffs. As an Ohio State fan, we just lost like 24-10. So I think we would take Indiana there as one of our final four, and then we would have to take Miami because man, we've seen the game. We can't deny it. Miami was more prepared.
Seen the game.
Doing great in those playoffs. So
They're doing their job.
we would have 1 seed Indiana versus a 3 seed Miami. Then we move on Georgia to Texas A&M, an SEC matchup. What you see here is I think Georgia just has their head on straight, and Texas A&M just had those big scares in the middle of the season against like South Carolina, and they didn't make the SEC championship. Georgia made the SEC championship and won it. They just looked like the
Texas
better
A&M
team.
had the cakewalk of a schedule too.
Yeah,
a little bit more towards the
definitely
end.
the easier SEC
I mean,
schedule.
don't get me wrong. I still think I would still choose them to beat Bama. All right, let's not discount that.
I think that was a close
Let's not discount
Sweet
that.
16 game. However, I would just have to agree. Bama's obvious flaw in running was just a big problem. So I would take Georgia to win here. And then up here, we have Texas Tech, Oregon. One thing you're seeing here that would kind of be a problem is I made this bracket and tried to actually be geological with it. I know that's not exactly how they do it in March Madness, especially since they don't want teams from the same conference playing each other all the time. But, if you did it geologically, you'd have a lot of this, like this is all very heavy, Big 12 up there, and a lot of West Coast teams and Midwest
Would
teams
people
that play each
prefer
other.
So,
I think it would be better for actually going to see the games, but I don't know about the
Tangent.
TV. Well, let's hear it.
tangent. What if
What if?
you do? You know how we have regions?
Mm-hmm.
Then you just do the regions as for like Big Ten, SEC, which is more like the I would say more March Madness ish.
In what way? What do you mean?
So it'd be like Big Ten in the Midwest, right?
Okay.
And then you got the Big 12, right? The
Yeah.
ACC or SEC, ACC,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then they all duke it out until the end, and then they go, which I think would benefit the smaller conferences a lot more.
Yeah, I don't think that'd be good at all for the Big Ten or SEC.
No, it's not. It's not good
Because in
it's
this-
just a Frenchy here.
In this, it's looking like we're gonna have 2 Big Ten teams in the Final Four, and honestly, almost could have had 3. But even the same the other way. I mean, Ole Miss just has to win a couple games here, or Vanderbilt has to win a couple games.
I
And
mean, there's
then,
no Big Ten team over here. If there was, they would have
Yeah,
won.
there's no. Okay, well, that's a lot of bias going on over there. You know what's interesting?
Huh?
Houston made this 32 team. Houston.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Houston
now
made it.
joining the Big 12 next year. I think that's very interesting. They made the bracket. I didn't point that out earlier. However, we know Oregon would beat Texas Tech. Did that game actually happen?
Yeah,
Yeah, and it was.
Texas Tech scored 3 points.
Yeah, wow. Pity points, and only 3 of them. That's rough. So here we are with our Final Four. We have number 1 seed Indiana against a number 3 seed Notre Dame, and then we have a number 1 seed Georgia against number 2 seed Oregon. This game, by the way, at this point, we're at January 3rd. So these 4 teams, they would have played a 12-week regular season, probably with a bye, or certainly with a bye. That's how football works. And then a 13th week for their conference championship. And then also you would have another 1, 2, 3 weeks they would have already played at this point. So at this point, we are 16 weeks, consecutive weeks into the college football season.
Woo!
You only have your bye to lean on at this
Wow.
point, which for a lot of people is like week 5 or 6.
Hey, gotta
so
keep players fresh.
in 16 weeks is rough. And if you didn't play your conference championship, this might actually be a benefit for you. So I think in this scenario, it was Oregon would have not played a conference championship. Indiana
Correct.
did.
Yeah.
Georgia did. And funny enough, Miami did not.
Miami didn't.
It was Duke against Virginia, which is really strange.
I'm
Duke
glad
did
they
win.
fixed their tiebreakers.
And so I wonder if in this format, Indiana's on probably like their 12th, 10th or 12th game.
Indiana is tired.
Georgia is playing that, gauntlet of SEC games, all
Gauntlet.
8 of them. And then, they kind of had a bye with their second last game of the year is against the Sisters of the Poor. I don't even know
Correct.
who they actually were.
They probably played
Um,
like food. Probably played rice.
Yeah, exactly. At least Rice put up a fight. So I wonder how that would play into it as well.
Mm-hmm.
But we know what happens here. Obviously, we saw Indiana did beat
beat
Miami
'em.
in a relatively close game, but nothing. It wasn't that
wasn't
close.
scared.
I was never really that concerned. there was a way, but they wasn't really that close. For this Oregon Georgia game, this was definitely one of the harder games that we've
What
had
was
to
the
pick
line?
out.
The line was about
About 1.5.
1.5.
Georgia
for
minus
Georgia.
1.5.
Model
So-
had Oregon.
Model had Oregon minus 2.5.
2.5.
So here's the thing about this game. I think Oregon, when they get into these sort of situations, just how they have the last few years and just how they did last year, they get pretty far, but then they do lose. And I'm not one to say, oh, they can't win a national championship, or
Yeah, don't say that. Don't
they
say
always
that.
get
Don't
to
say
the
that.
ending choke like Duke did. But I mean, considering we already have knowledge of what they've done the last few years, including last year, which we're basing this off last year,
Yeah.
the sources point to Oregon would have lost this game, and I think Georgia would have won.
I would say that's accurate. I would definitely probably take Georgia if I was a betting man.
Yeah, if I'm just seeing those two teams out there in a neutral site, although neutral really probably means it's in Texas or Georgia anyway, just how the way things are, how things are landscaped. But I just think Georgia wins that game. They just have a bit more experience with these bigger games. Even their staff just has it put together, and Kirby Smart's done all this before.
Mm-hmm.
So here we are
I agree.
with our new national championship. By the way, under this format, we're playing a game every single week. This is week 17 of football.
Yeah, this is something ridiculous.
Indiana and Georgia actually did play in their conference championship, so they would have 1 week of break in 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. This is our 18th week of football
Hey, we don't believe in 2-week breaks.
with one bye. So at this point, we would be down to Indiana, Georgia, and just based off what we saw last year, we'd have to take Indiana.
It's
I
got to
mean-
be Indiana.
It would have to be.
I mean, there's no other option.
So there you go.
Hold on.
Let's see how big you can write this, or where. So there you go. So what's really interesting about this, I don't know how I would feel about it. I think coaches, first of all, let's see, a coach's reaction to this, what they would be, I think they'd be upset with how many games they would have to play. It would be
they would be
ridiculous.
upset.
Like I said, you're in the 18th week, consecutive week.
That's so many.
You don't have those break weeks like you do normally. That would be quite the task. Quite the task to behold.
It would just be a struggle. Now, first off, like and subscribe. I don't think we say that nearly enough in the beginning. So make sure you do that.
We should do that.
Leave a comment as well to see how you would like this and see how, at least give me the final four from here. Don't give me the whole bracket. That's a lot of work. Give me the final four and who would win and everything. I want to see if we differ or anything like that. And I just want to ask you, looking at this, looking at the 1 seeds, the 2 seeds, who's got the easiest path?
I think that would have to be probably the West. I think Georgia has a tougher time going against, against Texas, Bama, Texas A&M. It just ended up being a lot of SEC teams. And same thing with the Midwest, I think, was maybe the hardest. You've got Indiana, USC, Notre Dame, Oklahoma. Those are all really good teams. Even your teams that you beat in the first round. I always think Missouri's better than people think. Illinois wasn't a pushover except for when they played Indiana, so I guess that doesn't really matter.
Does not matter to Indiana.
Michigan was okay, and
apparently they got mollywopped by USC.
I think Iowa's better. I mean, Iowa's great.
They're only getting better.
Iowa would be a hard out.
Is there a time where Iowa makes the playoffs?
I think they can. I think they just got to have a lucky bounce go their way. I mean, they went 9-3 last year, maybe.
Oh wow, good for them.
They played really well. I think they just needed like one lucky bounce to go their way. They were maybe the closest team to beating Indiana other than Penn State. And imagine they just won that game. They would have a massive resume builder, and they would have had 10 wins. Why are they not in the playoff with that, honestly? And that was a one-possession game. So I think
why
they
are they
could.
in the playoffs?
So I think that's the easiest route. It's just a lot of Big 12 teams. Obviously, you have one hard team in Oregon to beat out there, but even Oregon, I mean, then
Oregon it just seems like Oregon just steamrolls everybody there.
But Oregon got handled by Indiana, so they're not the peak of the sport in this particular bracket. However, I think next year's that's different. I think Oregon's going to be real menace next year.
Yeah, well, the model does say so.
I say so.
And
me greater than model.
Ooh, I don't think that's true at all.
My brain. Well, you got to tune it up and get some data in there.
Mine's semi-tuned.
It's pretty tuned.
I tuned against the last 5 years.
That's pretty good. So I have a question for you.
Sure.
Would you see so in the last playoff we had Miami was a 10 seed. So the pretty much last out at large bid. They made it all the way to the national championship.
Yeah.
Notice here Miami would have only been a
3 seed.
3 seed. So considering Miami was a crazy upset in the college football playoffs, they were only a 3 seed in this. So what are the odds? If this were the case, what are the odds you could ever see a 4, 5, or 6 seed? And just looking at this, which 4, 5, or 6 seed would you take based on their path or based on just how good of a team maybe they could get in there and make some noise?
You're asking for more like a Cinderella run?
Yeah, kind of a
thing?
Cinderella run. Like, what would you see? And like, would you ever be able to have a Cinderella run in this type of format?
Well, let's make sure. Let's break it down a little bit. Let's break down the definition of a Cinderella run. Right?
Yes.
I think that's needed to be clarified.
Okay.
I think correct me if I'm wrong, or if we would like to change the criteria. A Cinderella run is a team that's not expected to go as far as they should, but they do.
Yes. I think they have to win, especially when you only have 32 teams. I think if you win 2 games that you are the underdog in a row, I think I'm going to call you.
Great.
Now, they would have to be pretty big. They can't just be like your 1.5 point underdog, like in the March Madness tournament. If you're an 8 seed who's an underdog to a 9 seed, or if you're a 9 seed who's an underdog to an 8 seed, and you win that, but then again, you play the 1 seed.
And then that's great.
And then that means you win that game as a small underdog, and then you beat the 1 seed, and then I think you're kind of a Cinderella. But would you
I would label it more as you have to win a game. I don't think you need to win more than multiple games. Because I would say Iowa this year in March Madness was as close to the Cinderella team as we're going to get for this year.
I would agree. But at the same time, you can't call it a run if you only win 1 game, you're the underdog. I think to call it a run, you'd have to win 2, at least. You can't call it a run to win 1 game, you know?
I would agree.
So
you got to win multiple.
I think you got to win multiple.
But I would say it's still a little bit more on the Cinderella. For example, I'm going to say USC.
Okay.
Right? USC would have been my pick. USC's favored against Michigan, clearly.
Yes, but I think USC...
But then they're not favored against Indiana. They beat Indiana. I would start to clarify that as more of a Cinderella run. But then they get beat by Notre Dame. Is that a Cinderella run?
I think it's just an upset. Just an upset.
So they got to have 2 upsets.
I mean, think about March Madness. High Point beats a team as a 13 seed. You don't call it a Cinderella run after they win their first game. You call it an upset. Once they win 2 games, I think you have to win 2. Now,
that's great. Great.
Yes. Okay.
So I think that instantly takes away every single 4 and 5 seed.
Because they're just not going to beat the 1.
I think they can possibly beat the 1, but due to college football, I don't think they beat the 2 seed. Or the 3 seed.
Oh, afterwards, because they would have to beat it.
They got to win 2 upset games.
Well, what if you're an underdog? For example, what if Michigan as an underdog to USC won this game, and then put together a good game to beat Indiana here? I would struggle because they're only a 1 seed difference.
It's only 1 seed difference.
I would prefer to see, I think, Iowa winning 2 games here. Funny enough, Iowa was the closest to a Cinderella in the actual March Madness. Look at Iowa here.
So true.
If Iowa were to beat Notre Dame, I would already been like, wow, that's a big upset.
That's a great win.
And then if Iowa were to beat Oklahoma, I would call that a Cinderella immediately. Even if they lose to Indiana, I would say this is a Cinderella run, especially for a 32-team bracket. The question is, could that really happen? Are you going to beat Notre Dame with a week to prepare and then Oklahoma with a week to prepare? By the way, both those games happening at Notre Dame and at Oklahoma.
See, I think that's where we kind of struggle here a little bit, and that's why I would point more towards like Arizona, maybe.
Yes, I think
because they could beat BYU and I would say they have a better chance of beating Oregon than Iowa does beating Notre Dame and Oklahoma.
Yeah, that might be true.
Right? Because Houston, let's be honest, Houston's not touching this.
Yeah, Houston kind of got lumped in a
How did
rough
Houston
spot
make this bracket? No clue.
And then Georgia Tech, Miami, just because of unfortunately how this bracket's set up, we know Miami's
going to roll them. Right, so I would look at Arizona. I would look at Arizona and Iowa being the 2 candidates. Maybe you could sit. Okay, Missouri.
I think Missouri's a sneaky pick here. I think Who they
North
play?
Texas.
Oklahoma.
Tennessee?
I think they could play Oklahoma, and I think they could beat Notre Dame under the right conditions. I think same thing with Tennessee.
Tennessee here.
This would not be easy, but you beat Texas A&M, and it's kind of like an SEC game.
That's
You go to
there's a
Texas A&M and
chance.
win, and then you take on Bama, who has an obvious flaw, and then you beat them as an underdog, and then
Then you get beat by Georgia.
I think it would be considered a Cinderella, and yeah, definitely get destroyed by Georgia. So I would agree.
So there are chances for Cinderella. I think the Cinderella that we all know and love from previous like March Madness, where it really came from, right? Of like giant runs from the lower seeds. I think those are kind of dead. I think we need to relook at of what a Cinderella is at this point.
I'd agree, because I'd say Indiana as a whole last year was the closest we get to Cinderella.
Yeah, I agree.
And even
though
still,
they were the 1 seed.
I mean, you took the losingest team, but then what you did was you took the losingest team, you infused a bunch of funds with a bunch of people who knew how to use money and a bunch of people who know how to put together a team, and you got a lot of experience together, and you took the losingest program ever, and in 2 years turned it around and had an undefeated season, while you're still in a Power 2 conference, and you're still like under like really good administration, and it's not like you're some group of 5 team. But I think that's the closest you get. Like you take the losingest program in a good conference and have them go undefeated. Like
Oh, for sure.
I think the Cinderellas happen over the course of 2 or 3 years instead of 2 or 3 weeks.
Correct. I think we need to redefine what a Cinderella is now at this point. I think the traditional Cinderella is dead.
So it brings me to a good question. And after watching March Madness, as I'm sure most of our viewers do, and looking at the college football bracket here, and just how the playoff is structured right now, even at 12 teams, is the Cinderella run dead? And it's really weird because on one hand, we do talk about how there's more parity in the league. But then at the same time, I think that parity comes at a cost. And here's my idea on this. In the past, in basketball or football, but especially in basketball, you could have a team like High Point. I don't know why I like High Point so much, but I feel like they're in every bracket and they always have good upsets. Or McNeese. You're at High Point or McNeese. What you can do is you can find guys who weren't getting offers to the big basketball schools, like Indiana used to be one, Alabama, UNC, Duke. You find the guys who weren't getting the big offers. You give them an offer, and you can't pay players at this point. This is pre-NIL I'm talking about. You give them offers to play there and promise them good playing time. And what you do is you get them as freshmen and you out-evaluate these upper programs or just find guys who slip through the cracks. And then all you need is about 4 or 5 guys who, were under-evaluated. You pick them up. You develop them for 3 years. And then all of a sudden you have a junior and senior squad who can go out there and do some real damage. Like you develop these players. They were talents all along. The other schools didn't pick them up. And then they can culminate to this team that can make a really solid senior run with their team at High Point or McNeese or wherever you're at. I think the problem is you can't do that anymore because while the talent is being distributed up and down according to how good players are, you'll never get those good seniors who you evaluated well.
Those 5 stars.
You're going to develop them for 1 or 2 years, but when they're a sophomore, junior, they're going to leave. They're going to go to the better schools, and they're going to get more exposure. And what that leaves you with is you're just starting over. So even if you over-evaluate the other schools, number one, once they see, you could almost stay at a school before because you knew you're going to have success and you like the teams and you liked your players. But at the point, the money gets too hard to ignore.
True.
True.
There's a price tag.
You're going to go to another school, and it's no longer just for more exposure or better chance to go to the league. It's for immediate zeros added to your bank account.
Agreed.
And so, would you kind of agree? Like that's kind of the case in March Madness.
It's kind of, and I would say that with that, and I think with the High Point and the McNeeses, right? You can find a junior or a freshman who's really good, right?
Yeah.
And what we're seeing in college football, and what we're starting to see even now in March Madness, experience wins.
It's true.
So when those 5 stars are really good, right? They transfer out. They're keeping that experience that they played at High Point.
Yes.
And they're going to Michigan.
I would say
They're going to
experience
Duke.
is probably the hardest thing to get. You can get talent out of a freshman. You can get crazy freak athletics. You could get a really smart player. You can get all these things out of a freshman. The only thing you really can't get is experience.
I mean, it happened at Duke, right?
And experience is what wins, yeah.
Experience, right? Duke had a crucial turnover for them, and it was a freshman who turned it over, which he played phenomenally. He played great, but he didn't have the game situation sense to know that that's a dumb pass,
Yeah.
right? And that's where experience trumps it. And I would say that the more experienced teams, Arizona, Michigan, we're looking at Indiana. We're looking at Georgia. Georgia's got great experience. Miami had an experienced quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Experience wins.
I would agree. So it's just so interesting that while experience wins, it's the one thing that it's really hard to get in a smaller
Get it
school.
as a small school.
Because the only way to get it is by retaining your players. And once your players are good with that experience,
They're gone.
they're gone. And how does this apply to college football? I would say we talked about it on March Madness level. With college football, you have so many more players.
So many.
And so here's the thing. Instead of having, you're going to have 5 guys on the floor in basketball at all times, and you're going to sub in maybe 5 more. That's 10 total. In football, you're going to have 22, at least 30 different guys, 40 guys who are all going to touch the field every single game. And you're going to have another 20 or 30 who come in throughout the season because of injuries or come in even, special teams, kickoffs, whatnot. And so what's really interesting about that is it was already difficult, but you could do it in basketball. In football, it's so much harder to get a decorum of guys who are going to stick together and they're going to use their experience and their seniority to make it to the end there.
I would also say with basketball, there are levels to the basketball, right? There are clearly teams who are better than others.
For sure.
However, I think that gap is smaller, much smaller,
Yes, I would agree.
than a gap between football teams.
Yes.
Because of, the amount of people that you said touch the field, right? You have
That's
so much
true.
more talent touching the field on a Ohio State team than you do at South Texas.
Yeah, because in March Madness, if there's 64 teams and you have 15 players on a team, and then you're going to have, 600 to 800 players. Meanwhile, the top 64 teams in football are going to have, 6,000, or not 6,000, but like at least 1,000.
Yeah.
You're not looking at, even at a smaller example, the top 10 teams are going to have 150 players. The top 10 football teams are going to have closer to like 1,000. So,
agreed.
um,
And then I would also just say that in basketball, it's easier for one person to take over.
mm-hmm.
It's easier to influence a game in basketball. In football, it's a team sport through and through. It's
Yeah.
not even close. You need to have 11 guys on that field,
Yeah.
one unit. A quarterback can't win at everything.
I would say the other way you get a Cinderella is you get a bunch of guys who have a senior year and they're all really good and they developed well. The only other way is to have a freak athlete, someone who
You
is
need
just
it to be
bonkers
competing.
crazy. Like you put LeBron in college, he could probably carry a team pretty far.
Yeah.
So the point is, like, even that is way even harder to hold on
That's
to.
hard.
Because once again, everyone's just getting paid to go elsewhere.
You get 1 year,
So
and you're gone. That was
yeah,
a good one. That
it's
was a good
really
one.
good. So they just can't really keep it.
So is parity a thing? Yes.
Parity is the thing, yes, because remember your under guys are still going to keep getting
They're
cut
still
and going down.
good.
But
But I do think it's harder to make a run, though.
it's hard, to keep that team together. And there's parity, but there's even parity between teams. Because, for example,
Georgia players could go to Ohio State players.
there's parity from Ohio State down to JMU, but then there's more parity there. But at the same time, while there's more parity within the group of 5. Because before, you could have a JMU or a Tulane be really good year after year.
Yeah.
And all their players stay there and they want to play there. But nowadays, there's more parity even between those teams and other Sunbelt teams or Rice, because all those JMU players, if you're a better team in the G5, all your players are leaving.
Mhm.
Or Tulane, even your coaches.
Even your
JMU has had to replace 2 coaches
So
in the
many
last 3
coaches.
years.
I know.
Great
Feel bad for
coaches. So it's like
them. Feel bad.
there is parity between the top and the bottom, but there's also parity among the top and among the bottom, which means that there's just less chance that a team from the bottom rises up.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard.
So there you go. Let's see what other questions I had about this. So I think we already kind of touched on this. Maybe there was a world that we used to live in where a group of 5 could touch a national championship.
Boise State.
We
back in
had
the
had
day.
TCU. I guess they weren't really group of
They're not
5,
Group of 5.
but we had UC in a playoff with a decent team who just had a couple great athletes show
They
up.
had a couple freaks.
But I think now more than ever, even with forcing inclusion of some group of 5 schools, I just cannot see a way that they would ever win a national title. So
They would have to go back to the BCS era.
Yeah.
Win one game, right? I'd rather play LeBron to a game of 2 than a game to 100. I lose the game 100 every time, right? But
Yeah, it's
maybe
true.
I get one lucky shot off.
Oh yeah, I mean,
I
just
beat
chuck up
him.
a 3.
Yeah,
Get fouled if there's a ref.
yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. So is player development basically dead outside top programs?
Oh, outside top programs.
Like, I mean, you're developing
Yeah.
smaller programs, but
I
still.
would say so a little bit, mainly because like if you're doing a good job developing, that means they're gonna show, and that means they're just gonna get poached.
I'd agree.
I mean, if you're not doing a good job, or maybe you get lucky and it's a late bloomer, then you could say that developing is good or meh. But I would say if you got a good development program, your team's just gonna get poached, and if you do, that means you're gonna get poached, and you can move on to a bigger and better team that actually deserves you.
So that actually brings me to another question. If you're a breakout player at Tulane or JMU or something, what would convince you to stay? You know they don't have the money, but maybe if they put together the money, but would you stay even if you're a player in one of these group of 5, you're a star quarterback or wide receiver, and Georgia's knocking out the door, and Tennessee's knocking out the door, and Oregon's knocking out the door to get you. What would convince you to stay at Tulane? Is there anything?
No, because I think even if they had the money, let's say the money's equal, right?
Okay, let's say the money's equal.
Let's say the money equal. I don't have the same exposure at Tulane than I do at Texas.
This is true.
My goal as a college player, right, is to go to the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want NFL scouts to be questioning, going, shoot, you played a Sun Belt conference, you played a crappy defense, you just got by on freak athleticism. Like, I want to play good teams, good defense. I want to show up, show out, right, and make a splash. Because Trinidad Chambliss, right, he played at Ole Miss. We didn't know about him until he played at Ole Miss.
Yeah, he's from Ferris State, man. D2.
We didn't know about him.
Yeah.
Right? I think that exposure at D1 and like the top of the top, cream of the crop, is just so infinitely better than almost all money.
So even if you had all the money to stay at Tulane, maybe even a little bit more than going to a big program, even if you had really good players that have stuck with you, even if you had your staff holding strong with you, you just don't think you would do it?
I think if your goal is to get to the NFL, you're not going to be able to do it
Wow.
as well as in Tulane. If you're really as good as you are, I don't think it's worth it at all, actually.
Which just shows you how crazy it is, because the odds that Tulane has the same amount of money, almost zero. The odds that Tulane's really good and keeps all their coaching staff, really low.
Zero.
The odds that your teammates are going to stick around if they're really good and you really enjoy playing with them,
Zero.
really, really low. So even with all those things, you still wouldn't stay. It just shows how maybe doomed they are.
You know what you could do though, as if you're really good, you could try to get to the same team, right? Like a wide receiver, NFL. You know how quarterbacks follow coaches,
and they do that a lot.
Yeah, I think that's perfectly viable.
I mean, even within the ACC. I mean, you took Darian Mensah, but also their top wide receiver to go from Duke to Miami.
There you go. That's going to be the best you're going to get.
Just makes it even harder.
That's the best you're going to
smaller
get.
Teams. At least they can poach the top tier
D2s,
2 stars, like backups.
Yep.
Yeah. So is out evaluating even a viable strategy anymore? Or
yes,
like, can you do it? But does it only get you anywhere for 1 year?
As a program,
I out evaluate as a group of 5, or even as a small, even as a Northwestern. If I out evaluate Ohio, I put together a really smart staff. I out evaluate Ohio State, Texas, Georgia, because there are inefficiencies.
Yeah, sure.
And I pick out really good guys. Is that even a strategy? Is that going to get you anywhere?
As a program, no. As a program, it's not. I'm going to call it as it is. You're going to win one game in the playoffs, and then they're all leaving.
So you think people can do it? But
I'm saying people can do it, and I think you can have success here.
Yeah. Okay.
You can have success. I'm saying you're not playing to win. All right. As a human being, as a coach, right? Unless you have family or something, or like emotional ties to this team, right? The only reason you're trying to out evaluate is so you can move up, go from JMU to Tennessee.
Yeah, that is true.
Right? Just to prove that you can spot talent, right? Sure, JMU, wherever it is down on that side, JMU could beat Vanderbilt for one game.
Yeah.
Right? And then you go, wow, what a season. That's it. That's it. All the players leave, all the coaches leave, every single, because one of these teams, or another team like a Penn State last year is going to fire the coach.
Yeah.
And then they're going to go, I need the next best guy. And they go, that JMU coach, he brought their team to the playoffs, right? He won a playoff game.
This is true.
He got the good players. Bring them out.
Yep.
And then what's going to happen is that coach and all the players going to go to Penn State, and then there you go. Penn State's right back on top. And JMU is going to start right back over.
Yeah. So I think I agree. I mean, it's hard. You can pick them up.
What you going to do?
You can develop them for a whole year.
What you going to do?
But if you develop them good enough to bring you anywhere, they're going to get poached. And if you develop them slower and develop them over the course of 2 years,
then you're not going to move.
they're just gone after 2 years, and you don't move
And
after
you
the first
don't
year.
move.
So all that together, I think it is a strategy. I think it's something you could do. I think it could give you a small edge. But unless you're one of the top upper teams, I mean,
Now, if
that's
you
what
do
you
it
do.
at Tennessee, you can stay there and make a splash.
yeah, when you're on a fringe, I think
Fringe is fine.
you have to reach a certain threshold. Maybe we could discuss what that threshold is. I don't know about. Well, I mean, I feel like it would be the top half of the Big Ten.
I think you got to be in the top 50. I think
Top 50 teams?
No.
A playoff team? A playoff
I'm going to
adjacent
say
team?
top 30, maybe 40. 30 team, you can stick there. I think you could stick there.
I think
and make some
I
splashes.
think you could do a couple things. By the way,
Any
this,
teams here.
this is a spectrum because if you're an absolute freak, Joe Burrow, unless you're at one of those top 10 teams, you're going to make your way to a top 10 team.
Yep.
But for example, BYU is a team who ended last year ranked 12-ish, 13th-ish.
13th, 14th.
And obviously there are teams that are historically better than BYU and Ohio State or Texas or something.
Yeah.
But you know what? They kept almost all their players.
Yeah, sure.
And they had a really good team. So I think they could have a really good team again this year.
Kept their coach
But
too.
then obviously if they had a Joe Burrow, they'd probably go. So I think
Joe Burrow would leave.
this is all on a spectrum. But I would agree. I would say that you would have to be a Power 4 conference team.
Sure.
No one's ever staying in any group of 5
one's ever
if you're
staying in the G5.
anyone of worth.
Nope.
I think the number 2 thing is I think you just have to be in like a playoff adjacent team. What that means is you're close enough to the playoff. For example, I would consider Michigan right up there, close to the playoffs. Obviously, all these
Anybody
teams,
in the top 25?
everyone here pretty much qualifies except maybe a TCU, SMU. I mean, SMU has been right up in the playoffs.
SMU's
most
fine.
years.
They got money.
I would call them playoff adjacent.
They got money.
I would say Illinois is pretty close.
Illinois, meh.
Iowa maybe. Missouri maybe.
I think if Iowa gets good, they scrape together money.
Yeah, but are they playoff adjacent? That's
So
really
then
the
that's
question.
so fine.
Yeah, exactly.
So I just think that would just be it. So, yeah,
There you go.
I would agree.
So now we're moving on.
Yeah, let's move on.
What do you have? Full take?
I think we got some bold takes now to do. All right. Like I said, I came prepared. I only brought one. Run sheet.
One sheet of paper.
Making the bold take up on the fly.
He's ready to go.
I think there are going to be 5 Big Ten teams in the playoffs.
This guy's just Big Ten bias. Everyone comment on
I
him.
am Big Ten biased.
I can't wait till we have an X
Absolutely.
account. I'm going to tell everyone. I'm going to be like, look at this dude. All right, they're going to have 5 teams.
5 of them. They only have 4. They've only
So
had 4.
this is 12-team playoff. What were the rules around who needs to be in? Notre Dame if they're top 12 and
Yeah, Notre
any
Dame
group
in
of
top
5?
12.
I don't remember. Any group of 5 can be in, or
group of 5? One group of 5?
one group of 5 has to be in?
Yeah.
So that would look like, what would that look like? 5 Big Ten teams, 4 SEC teams, we're at 9, group of 5, 10, and then 2, one from the Big 12, one from the ACC. I'm going to be honest, this is kind of what I'm thinking it's going to look like.
Oh, really?
I mean, I
Oh,
think,
good for me.
I think
Big Ten bias too.
ACC, no, I'm saying just,
my bad.
I'm saying the ACC is probably getting 1 and only 1. I'm saying
Yes.
the Big 12 is probably getting 1.
Correct.
I think those 2 conferences, even though they're Power 4, are going to combine for 3 teams.
Correct.
So maybe one of them has a breakout.
Yes.
Maybe BYU actually does end up being
Correct.
really good. Maybe I was gonna say Duke. Duke's no, never mind.
No, Duke's dead
Maybe Virginia Tech.
on both sides.
Who knows? I think Virginia Tech has a better chance than Duke. Anyway,
Go V-Tech.
so circling back, I think they're gonna have 3 bids out of the ACC and Big 12, and then a 4th out of the group of 5.
Group of 5.
That means there's 8 left.
Only 3 SEC.
Here's the problem. That would be 3 SEC, 5 Big Ten. The problem with that is Big Ten's so upper heavy.
Yep.
Like Big Ten's 3, and then it's like
Oh, yeah.
Indiana, Oregon,
Indiana,
Ohio State,
Oregon,
and then
Ohio State, USC.
you're saying USC and Michigan would have to
Michigan.
get in.
Would have to get
I
in.
think
or
Michigan's
our
struggling.
or Penn State.
or Penn State or Illinois or Iowa.
No, Penn State.
I don't know. Who knows, really?
I know. This is why I made the bold take.
I would say this is unlikely. I think the most likely way this happens is ACC and Big 12 get only 2 in.
Yeah.
A group of 3.
Yeah,
or
that's
group of
gotta
5,
happen.
And then we would have 5
SEC
Big
will
10,
get in.
4 SEC. Because I think if I had to put odds, I'd say SEC has more people make it than the Big 10.
Yeah.
Because they're just closer together. So I would say this is unlikely. How unlikely? I am going to give it a 5.5. I don't think it's that crazy. Actually, I guess that's kind of crazy. I mean,
That's kind of crazy.
3.5 is the middle. By the way, our scale is 0 to 7. 3.5 is the
kinda
middle.
Crazy.
I'd say 5.5.
That's
This
a 2 point.
this
That's 2 point
does
craziness.
mean that SEC has only 4 and the other conferences have none,
Or the SEC
or-
has 3.
or the SEC has 3. Like,
Georgia, Texas, and LSU.
yeah, I don't know. I think 5.5 is pretty fair. I think
LSU.
last year the Big
Bama.
Ten had 3,
Big
4
Ten had
teams.
3.
Three teams.
3.
Indiana, Ohio State,
Oregon.
Oregon.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
Okay. And the SEC had 4.
Ole Miss.
They had Georgia,
Oklahoma.
Ole Miss, Oklahoma, and Texas A&M.
Yep.
Probably.
Yep.
So them getting 5. I think
5's hard.
I think that 5 for the SEC would be closer to a 4.5 or 5. But
Correct.
5 for the Big Ten, I would agree.
5 for the Big
I
Ten.
think 5.5.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
I'll take it.
I also have a kind of playoff based one.
Yay.
I mean, we were talking about playoffs,
We're talking about
all
playoffs.
during here. We were also talking about parity. And you
Okay.
remember last year we had 10 seed Miami and 1 seed Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
How bold of a take is it if I were to tell you it will be the 1 and the 2 seed in the national championship? I'll give you my reasoning. Here we go. I think that here's what the race is going to look like. This is March, but I'm looking forward to the end of November. We're getting the playoff rankings out. Here's what I think it's going to look like going into the tournament. I think we're going to have an obvious 2.5 Big Ten teams that are contenders. I think they will end up being Indiana, Oregon, Ohio State. There's a chance that 2 of those make it. Maybe it's Indiana, Oregon, and then USC turns out to be really good. Or maybe USC beats the crap out of Oregon, and it's Indiana, USC, Ohio State, right? So I'm expecting 2 or 3 really obvious contenders out of the Big Ten. I think the only other people who could really look good is maybe Miami just looks crazy. Maybe Texas Tech really gets together this year. I think that's less likely. But mostly Miami really looks crazy. Maybe the other thing, maybe one SEC team really rises above the rest, and they would have to go through hell to get to that point.
True.
So I think most likely what it's either going to be is 2 Big Ten teams in the 1 and 2, or a Big Ten in Miami, or a Big Ten and an SEC who rose above. No matter what it is, I think the top 3 or 4 teams are going to be quite a bit above.
You think they're going to separate?
I think they're going to separate. Last year, there was kind of more parity, but it's hard to say that when there's
Indiana.
a team who went undefeated throughout the whole thing. You had a 10 seed make the championship. I think that was kind of an anomaly.
Fluky?
I think Miami has the respect, so if they were to play well, they would be, out of 2. I think the teams that are 1 and 2 make the national championship.
Calling the seeds, I think, is kind of bold.
Because, I
think that's pretty bold.
I was going to do the seeds sum up to 3 or 4, but you can't have a 1 and a 3 because the 1 will play the 3.
Yeah.
And you can't have a 2 and a 4.
Correct.
So it either has to be 1 against 2 or a 2 against 3.
Correct.
And you know what? I think the 1's going to be better than the 3. I think it's going to be proven throughout the season. And if the 1 can beat the 3 and the 2 can beat the 4, I think it's going to be the 1 and the 2. And I don't think any flukes can make it to the 1 or the 2. Maybe Texas Tech was kind of a fluke, being like the 4
I think
seed
Tech
last
was
year.
a fluke there.
I think they deserve to be in, not a 4 seed. Easy to say that,
Easy
seeing
to
how
say
the
that in
playoff went
hindsight.
out. You know what? Maybe I wouldn't have been that guy.
Easy
Maybe
to
I
say
wouldn't
that
have
in
been saying
hindsight.
that. We didn't have the show back then, so you can't fact check me.
Yeah.
However, there you go.
We will this time.
Oh yeah. Oh man, I can't wait. I hope someone's taking.
I
notes.
hope someone's clipping the heck out of some of these that are just ready, just boom, boom, boom.
One
Put
day,
us on blast.
Our goal is to be big enough that people call us out and send us clips. I'm gonna smile at Josh and say, "Wow,
We've made it.
someone sent a clip of us contradicting what we said many months prior. Maybe in March about something. Maybe I want a result to happen in October, and people pull up a clip from March, and they're like, "You guys are idiots," because
I'd
man,
be so proud.
I would have known we made it. Anyways,
I'd have been so proud. Anywho,
circling
I do
back.
think that's a little bold. Calling the seeds, especially with just
Now I'm calling
in
the easiest
general,
seeds. Easy to call 1 and 2.
it's easy to call one
But
and two.
that's just what I think it'll be.
But I don't. They still got to win a couple games in a row to win, and I'm not saying that's not possible. I think it is. It's very doable. It's not. It's not a 7.
Okay,
That's
I understand that.
That's not a 7.
We can't have 7s every week.
But I do think it's more on the unlikely side than it is on the likely side.
Mhm.
So it's definitely higher than a 3.5. I think I'm gonna go with a 4.5. No, I'll probably go with a 5. I don't think
take
that's
it.
gonna happen.
I'll take it.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
I mean,
I'm
we
more
just had a
comfortable with
1 and a
seed.
10.
Yeah.
Not in here, but
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I'm saying.
I get what you're saying. I'm gonna go with a 5
Okay.
there. I think it's a little bit more on the unlikely side, especially just in general. Teams can have bad games.
Oh yeah,
That's just how it is.
yeah, I'm just
But it's a lot harder for teams obviously to have spectacular games 3 times in a row, and that's why you're never gonna see a Houston go on and win the national championship, right? They got to play flawlessly to play.
I'm just seeing March Madness play out. I'm looking how chalky it is. I
It's
think
chalky.
it's just the NIL. It's so weird that it brings more parity, but also more chalk at times.
More chalk.
Just because of the way the talent's dispersed. The teams are closer, but the teams are still.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have a riser. Maybe that's the way.
Maybe that's
The
the way.
teams are closer in talent, but you cannot have a lower team rise to the occasion like you could in the past.
I agree.
Because they also are held down and to equal to where their compatriots are.
I think that wraps it up.
Yeah, there you have it. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Please
Thank
do
you.
subscribe, listen to us. You can listen to us on any podcast. You can watch us on YouTube. This was a great video to watch on YouTube. So if you didn't, maybe you could check it out. You could see at
This was
least the
great.
bracket that we set up and just like and subscribe to our YouTube real quick.
Hey, drop that comment.
Yeah.
Drop a comment with a hot take, right? Give us some top
Give
fours.
a bold take. Tell us what we got wrong in the bracket. You're like, there's no way
There's
BYU
no
would have
way.
beat Arizona. Like, what are you even thinking? Arizona actually had a pretty good season.
Come on, give us something that contradicts us. That way
I'd
we
like
can
to see.
screenshot you.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for watching. And I'm Matthew. This is Josh. And we'll see you next time.